Hi everyone. Today I wanted to come on here and share with you a technique that is specific to New Mexico and to the American Southwest. As I was like pulling out my jewelry and looking at it and trying to come up with a jewelry outfit to put together to show you, I was looking at some of my pieces and I was like, these are so cool. And it's a technique that is, like I said, it's specific to New Mexico. And I haven't really seen it being used anywhere else. So yeah, the technique is called Tufa Casting. Tufa is a volcanic ash that you can see like when you're driving around here. It's a really powdery material that's, it's common enough that you can use it for other things like casting. The only other place that I've heard it being used is in Italy, in Sicily. There was a lot of quarries for tufa, but they used it mostly for building buildings. I don't think that they used it for jewelry making. One of the things that I just love about Native American jewelry is how resourceful a lot of the techniques are that are specific to here. And so this is just a really fascinating way of casting, and it kind of forces you as well to do, maybe if it's not one of a kind, it might be like three of a kind. The designs and the patterns kind of wear out with every single pour, and so after like 3 pours or so, you can't make more than that. The actual pattern will start to disintegrate under the heat, and you can't continue making it. So I think that's what is really cool about this technique as well. So yeah, I wanted to show you a few things. Tufa is very powdery, very dusty, but you can carve into it. And you can see that this is kind of like an amphora coin medallion, and then it has these like a little place for the molten metal to fall into and then fill up this space. And then you carve in these, they're called like air vents, and it forces the molten metal to fall into those areas. And you can see like I have this ring here, and it just fits, right there. And what's cool about it too, so here you can see, what's cool about it too is that like something like this technique, the edges aren't going to be the same from one to the next. So here I'm going to show you 2 different, it's the same mold, but 2 different results. So you can see the edging on this piece is different from the edging on this piece. And it's something that I don't know why that happens. It just happens. And so it makes each piece super one of a kind. There is nothing I can do about it. But it's amazing. It's really amazing. And sometimes certain details will show up more refined than others. So you never really know what you're going to be getting through it. I also was experimenting with these, with like a larger amphora type. And this piece of tufa has, maybe you can see, 3 different amphora shapes, and this one fits in this first piece like so. And then, like after several castings, like I said, the design might disintegrate in certain areas, or it might get stuck. So you see how like this has these handles here. So here's a casting that I can't use again because part of the amphora handle part fell out. So that amphora can't be made again. And then the other part about it, when you put the cast together, let's pretend like these 2 pieces were meant for each other. You put it together like this, and you see it creates a little hole, and this is where you pour your metal into. It has to be a flat back, so all of the pieces will have a flat reverse to it. Nothing is going to be completely three-dimensional, so it just looks like a relief as opposed to like a three-dimensional object, which is something you can get into with mostly the wax casting and stuff. So everything has a flat reverse. And the reason is that it's really hard to match up the two sides, right? Yeah, so you can see that tufa comes, when you purchase it, you buy like kind of a big rock of it. And then you have to saw it down, and you have to sand the surface so that it's nice and flat. And then you can slowly start to create your form with just any kind of tool that you can get your hand on, really. If it has like a metal end to it, that's great because you're just kind of digging away, digging at this. And then a lot of these pieces were made from like any of the scraps of metal that I create when I make my other work. So when I am sawing a piece, like for example this cuff, there's going to be scrap pieces of metal, and you put them all into what is called a crucible. You heat it up until it has melted the metal, and it is in a liquid form, and you have to keep the heat on it. And you have this, and you pour the metal into this little, space right here. So it's also kind of risky because you don't know whether you're gonna actually miss the hole, or whether you're going to, if the metal cools too quickly, it won't fall into the form properly. It'll just bunch right at the top here. There's a lot of room for error on this type of technique. And it's also not a great technique to do during the summer because you're using so much heat and it's so hot that you're just kind of, you have to be, the conditions have to be just right to make this kind of work. So anyways, I have several of these pieces. I have some medallions. I have some more coming in as I start to get work back from galleries and stuff. And they're really good. It's a nice chunky piece of metal that you get to wear, but like a design like this amphora here, it just sits kind of nestled perfectly on your finger, and I love it. I also love this connection that it has with, again, the Mediterranean. Like, I've been playing for a while this idea of where the Mediterranean meets the Southwest, and the fact that tufa is found both in New Mexico and in Italy, I think is something that's like really special and really fun to play with. So yeah, there's gonna be, like I said, there's several pieces available on my website now with this. I have mostly rings. I'm going to be getting in a few necklaces and pieces like that. So yeah, stay tuned, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Okay.